First and foremost, Elden Ring is an incredible addition to the From Software repertoire of games. And as a huge Souls fan since Demon's Souls Black Phantom Edition came out in June 2010, I've been a fanatic of every FromSoft game ever since. Elden Ring's been out for 2 years since it was released on the 25th of February 2022, but in anticipation for the DLC Shadow of the Erdtree scheduled to release on June the 21st, 2024, let us embark on another Platinum journey. Plan to get Platinum for a second time, obtaining all 42 trophies. According to PearsonProfiles.com, it's considered an 8 out of 10 for difficulty, can be done in one playthrough, and requires at least 65 hours of in-game time. As this is my second playthrough, I'll be using a mage build instead of a melee like my first, and this video will contain major plot spoilers, so to those who desire to play the game, you've been warned. We start the game by creating our character and being introduced into the world via the game's tutorial, leading us outside into Limgrave, where we acquire several useful items including Torrent, our handy steed. We make our way to Stormvale Castle, where we die several times to Morgoth and arrive at the Round Table Hold for our first bronze trophy, Round Table Hold. Our next trophy is to fell Margit the Omen, which was obtained by obtaining a few levels and returning perked up to defeat Margit. This awards me a bronze trophy. After defeating Margit, we venture for the Weeping Peninsula to tackle Leon the Misbegotten for another bronze trophy. We traverse past the hordes of enemies, and after getting lost along the way, we eventually find him on his lonesome. Now with the tutorial portion of the game behind me, first raw boss provides me with the trophy Shardbearer Godric. After raiding Stormvale Castle, we find ourselves at the end defeating Godric the Grafted for the silver trophy. After we venture to Lucaria and fight our way past millions of spellcasters, as a mage this proved challenging, but eventually I obtained the trophy Red Wolf of Radagon. Having tried Renella and proving too hard, I beelined it for Carrion Manor, coming into contact with creepy hands and several new enemy types. Ultimately, the boss which gave me the trophy, Royal Knight Loretta. I needed to prepare myself for this boss, so I grinded for several levels, obtained new spells and took on Queen of the Full Moon. After many attempts, I finally defeated Renella for the trophy. Also obtained Great Rune for restoring the power of a Great Rune. Next was Siofra River, where we encountered the ancestral spirit after lighting several pillars scattered around for Hollow Torn realms. Defeating this boss awarded me with another bronze trophy. Then we ventured all the way to the most northern part of Liurnia, the lakes, and up the mountain to find the magma worm Makar. Defeating him gave me a bronze trophy and access to Mount Galmil. In Caelid at Redmane Castle, you start the festival to fight off against Radahn. This is by far one of the most iconic fights in Elden Ring and my all-time favourites. But with enough spells, even Radahn succumbs to the intrepid Tarnished for a silver trophy. From this, opened the internal city of Nokron by carefully making my way through the now star-fallen crater in the Mistwoods, where we first meet Blythe. Progressing along the way, we defeat many mimic-like enemies until we are faced with a fight gate of Mimic Tyr. I remove my weapons as I know the cheese of this boss and face off against my punching clone. This grants me a bronze trophy. With Mimic Tyr now in my possession, defeating many of the bosses except one in particular became a million times easier. Returning to the Hollow Horde grounds, I'm required to solve another puzzle by lighting many more pillars in order to fight the Regal Ancestor Spirit for my next trophy. Directly after this, we progress down a series of drops into the Siofra Aqueducts and have a double boss fight with the Valiant Gargoyles, a brief nod to the gargoyle fight in Dark Souls from back in the day. Along the way I did run his questline pretty early and continued on to defeat Astal, the natural born of the void, having ventured across the Grand Cloister, and my god was that a ball ache of a place to navigate, and ultimately defeating it gave me a bronze trophy. The next was to figure out a way to the shaded castle located in the Atlas Plateau. Having already made our way with a ruin-strewn precipice, we arrive and run around lost for a while until we find Elmer of the Brea chilling in his castle. Beating him gave me another bronze trophy. Within that same region, and after venturing to Volcano Manor, our next boss on our list was Godskin Noble. Not an overly challenging boss like a later Godskin duo, but a nice prep for later, I guess. Childbearer Rykard, the funny boss. As a mage class it took me quite a few attempts, more than I'd like to admit if I'm being honest, but on my first playthrough it was pretty easy from memory. Using spells is a no-go, I found the hard way, so using the sword at the entrance like the Storm Ruler when defeating the Storm King in Demon Souls. All ruined up, and after the Rykard fight, we ventured to defeat Godfrey, the first Elden Lord located in Lindau, the royal capital. This is by far one of the large areas of the game, which does take some time to get to him, but without failure we are victorious. Further on, we are faced with a familiar face. Margot makes a reappearance, but this time with several new skills in his true form. Beating him awards me with the remembrance of the Omen King Margot's Great Rune, as well as a silver trophy too. Back to Ainsel River Main, we make our way to Noxtella, where we defeat the Dragonkin soldier for a bronze trophy. We make our way all the way to Castle Sol in the snowy mountaintops of the giants for Commander Neil. Neil becomes a bit of a bellend for me at this point, but he was bested all the same to the might of Rocksling. Legendary sorceries and incantations was a silver trophy obtained from collecting all legendary grade incantations and sorceries along the way. This one wasn't too difficult compared to the previous Souls games like Dark Souls, but still it had its moments for sure. The next trophy was to upgrade any armament to its high stage. Following that was to defeat the Fire Giant. Honestly, this one took me a while. I don't know what it was, but it just got rinsed every time. I guess as a mage, my mindset was somewhat different from the need to engage the enemy in the same way as a melee. Then again, many might find him easy, but I'm a noob when it comes to certain bosses in this game. And as a flashback to the old Souls games, Bed of Chaos from Dark Souls and the Dragon God from Demon Souls always did me in for whatever reason. Here I met Melina, set the Erdtree Flame for the bronze trophy. And now that we're into late game, I could now defeat Lich Dragon Fortisax by ending Thea's questline. Another boss that makes a return is Loretta. The greater foe in her true form definitely packs a greater punch than before. Moog is one of those bosses which are just simply annoying. He's cool as hell but annoying as hell also. We need to venture to his hidden location named Morgduin Palace. After using the Grand Lift of Rold and venturing across the consecrated snowfields, the teleportal is found northwest of the Yolo Annex ruins. Defeating him did require help, but I've never liked that boss even from way back at launch. This next trophy was not my favourite. Collecting most of them was simple, but a very specific one proved challenging. Taig, in the Evergaol of Ranni's Rise, was just pure nails as a mage. But after some research and a few extra levels, I found that just like on my first playthrough, staggering him, or her I should say, is the way to go. This awarded me with legendary Ashen Remains. The Godskin Duo boss is challenging, but this boss is a perfect example of time management during a multi-boss fight. They spawn another clone until their health is completely gone, and for me, my only aim was to nuke one faster than they could nuke my Mimic tier. After finding my way to the crumbling Farum Azula, I get the last of my armaments from the Red Phantom invasion by Berthel. This awarded me the legendary armament silver trophy. Shardbearer Millennia is easily one of the hardest trophies in this game, perhaps the hardest trophy in this game. Mimic tier here is useless, and any one mistake as a mage causes me to basically be two-shotted into oblivion. There's a shit ton of health, the spells didn't do much damage, but thankfully after many hours of failed laborious ploys, a helpful hand from summons paved the way to victory. And not gonna lie, I don't think I'd be able to do it without you peeps, so as a mage I thank you. I returned to the crumbling Farum Azula to defeat the Dragon Lord Placidusax, which had its challenges for sure, but was a decent boss, and one of my favourite cutscenes of the game. And right after that, the acrobat Malekith the Black Blade became a pain in the arse to aim as a sorcerer, I must confess. And this major boss awarded me with a silver trophy. After his defeat at Lindau, the royal capital became Lindau, the Ashen capital, which is the last area of the Elden Ring. Here I run into the sand pits for the last and final talisman for the silver trophy and legendary talismans. Moog the Omen was the next boss I decided to defeat in the Forsaken Depths below Lindau in the subterranean shunning grounds. Defeating him gave me a bronze trophy. In the same arena as where we fought Morga, we fight Horrocks Lu, the warrior, a solid all-round fight, and defeating him gave us another silver trophy. And after defeating Radagon, followed by the Elden Beast after the Horror Lu, we obtain our first ending of the Frenzied Flame from venturing down beneath the Cathedral of the Forsaken and a series of awful falls. I mean, anybody who's done this just knows how bad getting down to the bottom is. This gives us our first gold trophy of the game. Then we do a cheeky reload and do the default ending of the game, the Elden Lord. And lastly, we reload once again to do perhaps the best ending in my opinion, the Age of Stars for Randy's ending, ultimately awarding me with the Platinum Trophy. Overall, I have to say playing Elden Ring as a mage is definitely easier than the typical melee builds, or at least from my experiences. It has its challenges for sure, but no doubt compared to previous Souls games, it's pretty solid when it comes to using spells. Having this being my second time obtaining the Elden Ring Platinum, I can vouch it can be done way quicker than you might think. I cracked in around 40 hours, but my first time was somewhere around 120 hours. I can't wait for the Elden Ring DLC tomorrow, but I think I've rambled on long enough. So thank you all fellow watchers, but most importantly I hope you found this enjoyable. Let me know how you found the Elden Ring Platinum, and if you plan on getting a DLC, let me know about that also. However, with that said, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's well, have a good one peeps.